nowadays you got to have that because people nowadays.
Before we get straight into the podcast, I just want to give a huge shout out to our sponsors, Declan Kirby GAA Star. Declan Kirby GAA Star Championship Journey. It's a series of GAA team children's books written by primary school teacher and GAA coach Michael Egan. You can check it out in the link in the description down below, of course, as well. Follow the trials and tribulations of Declan Kirby and his team at Smithgreen Gaelic Football Club, recently formed but promising GAA team. The book is now available in Easons and all good bookshops, so check it out in the description down below, and let's get straight into it. So it's Kilmacud Crokes and Kilcoo this weekend in the All-Ireland Club Senior Football Championship Final, and I'm delighted to be joined here today by former Dublin senior footballer and former Kilmacud Crokes senior footballer Johnny Magee to look ahead to this game, of course, and discuss all the talking points really in the build-up leading up to this All-Ireland Club Senior Football Championship Final. So first of all, Johnny, how's things with yourself?
Yeah, good, yeah. Looking forward to the weekend. Should be an interesting game. So yeah, look, there's a lot of football on at the moment and hurling. So yeah, look, it's kind of nice to have that bit of normality back, for everyone, that it's not just the crowds back in, that you can organise, plan your weekend and stuff and get a few games in. So the kids, you can see the definitely seeing the kids, attitude, and they're looking forward to playing matches and going to see matches and going to see their heroes and stuff. So which is great, So look, hopefully that may continue, and hopefully we're at the other side of it, but it looks of it,
What have been your thoughts on the Dubs? Obviously, at the minute, I mean, it hasn't been too good of a start. Obviously, in a defeat to Armagh to start, and obviously defeat to Kerry last weekend. So what's been your general consensus on Dublin at the minute?
Listen, look, come here. Look, I think there's a lot of media attention, because where they are, 2 losses, and they're going to possibly get relegated and everything else. Look, been a huge transition. Like, Desi's tried 14 new players and stuff, and they're carrying a few injuries as well, like to key players like the Con and James McCarthy and Mick Fitzsimons and Johnny Cooper. You take those lads out of any team, you're going to miss them, and then you obviously throw in the fact that look, you've got retirements as well that have come along the way. So look, for me, but it looks like they look. I reckon now, my opinion is that they're probably in the middle of a big load in terms of a block of training. So let's be honest, Kerry haven't won All Ireland since 2014. Armagh need to maintain Division 1 status in order to progress or to on an upward trajectory. Let's be real, Dublin aren't looking to try and win a league. They're looking to win All Irelands here. So I think the vision of what Desi and the lads are, I think their eyes are firmly on winning All Ireland and not worrying about the league. So I'd say they're trying to get the new lads up and running in league football, and they're probably putting that load of work in that's required to maintain that level of fitness when it comes to. So they're my opinion, they're planning for All Ireland series. They're planning to peak at the right stage for an All Ireland, not peaking for a league final. So look, I think there's a lot of people looking to jump on the bandwagon and have a cut off left, right, and centre. They've been very spoiled. Dublin fans have been spoiled in terms of the calibre of teams we've had in the last 10 years. And let's be honest, look, I suppose one of the best teams that have probably ever played a game. But, the other thing is, in terms of the calibre of teams they're playing, the quality of the teams that they're playing now have improved, I feel, than they were over the last year and this year. You can see there's definitely last year, there's the 1 or 2 where you had the 3 teams, was Dublin, Kerry, Mayo. Then after that, then there's a drop. So you're looking at, it looks like there's, Tyrone now stepped up, obviously All Ireland champions. You're probably looking at a few others, that have kind of come closer to that, and there's not much of a gap anymore. But you look at the time that Dublin were so successful, there's only 3 teams really, or 2 teams that really put up to Dublin, were capable of putting up to Dublin for the guts of nearly, was it guts of 6, 7 years, 8 years? You probably throw Donegal into the early stages of that when Donegal won it as a 2012 or was it 2012? I think it was. Yeah. So outside that, not like there's been a serious drop off in terms of standards and quality of the other teams. So I think it's only going to be healthy for Dublin that these other teams are looking to push, and this thing of the invisibility or that's gone and all this kind of stuff. Look, at the end of the day, we'll see let's judge them at the end of the year and not judge them after 2 league campaigns where there's a raft of injuries and there's a load of new lads being bedded in. And yes, they're not of the same quality as what has been there before at this moment in time. But look, let them find their feet. Like Jim, the one thing like Jim and Pat Gilroy, it took him 3 years to get to that All-Ireland. Desi came in, won the All-Ireland like straight away. In fairness to him, you can say, "Oh, look, it's Jim Gavin's team." Listen, it is or it isn't. Still won it, So like at the end of the day, you have to give them some time to try and bed in these new lads and give those younger lads the opportunity and the support that was given to the previous younger lads that came in, the likes of Kieran Kilkenny and Con when they were coming through. So like it took them a while to adapt to the game as well. But look, I feel honestly, look, that it's only a matter of time before they get the thing sorted out. I think I'm hoping that they will. Look, I reckon they will get it sorted out. I just think they just need to give it a little bit of time and not heap so much pressure on those particularly new lads. Support them in every way possible. But look, come here, at the end of the day, people have their own opinion. But and people, are looking to get clicks and stuff and everything else. So like it is what it is from that point of view. But I think they're all firmly down the line. Whereas Armagh are looking to maintain Division 1, and will they be All-Ireland contenders? Armagh, I think. If you look at the form that they're in and they've showed the last 2 days, will they maintain that? We are now just into February. Are they going to maintain that till August, September? Highly unlikely. So it's all about timing, in my opinion. So look, I'm hoping right, and hoping not. But look, at the end of the day, look, I think it's just a bit of time. I think there's no need to panic.
100%. Yeah, I mean, looking ahead, I suppose, to this weekend's game, then Kilmacud Crokes and Kilcoo. Obviously, a big day for your own club and Kilmacud Crokes. Obviously, you were involved back in 2009, of course, when Crokes last won the All Ireland Club Senior Football Championship. So I imagine there's a big sense of expectation going into this game and optimism and a big buzz, obviously, around the club at the minute.
Look, I was lucky enough as captain the last time we won it. So it's it'd be nice to see Shane Cunningham step up to Hogarth and lift the Andy Merrigan Cup again. So look, we've been in 2 finals previously and won the 2. So you're hoping that'll stay with us. That we've been good in finals. So look, you can see there's a great atmosphere around the club and within the schools. So look, the lads that are there, they've put a big shift in. When I was first involved with them in 2018, with Baggio as well. So we won the championship that year. We left it. I felt we left it definitely a Leinster title behind us, probably in All Ireland. And that hurt of that has spurred a lot of this group on. And then you throw in the fact that look, that there's a few of the older lads are playing some brilliant football at the moment. So look, it's going to be a war of attrition, definitely between the 2 sides. But hopefully, look, it's, from my opinion, as a Crokes man, it's far too long since we've been last in the final. So we should be, in my opinion, we should be contesting All-Ireland finals not every nearly 11 years or 15 years. It should be a little bit more frequent than that, in my opinion. But look, really, that's but we're there now. It's taken a long time for these lads for a good number of those lads that to get back to this, or to get to this stage. So which is nice to see, and hopefully look to get the reward for the effort they put in for the last 10. Some of them that have been playing senior football for the last 10 years anyway.
Yeah, and going up against Kilcoo as well. I mean, I think the general consensus amongst most people really is that this probably is the 2 best clubs going at it in the final. Like, I think sometimes maybe you can look at situations maybe where certain teams maybe get there and they're underdogs and all the rest. But looking at this final, like it's such an even call, really. Like, there doesn't seem to be a clear favourite, and you speak to anyone really, they've different opinions about the game. So I mean, this is going to be, I suppose, a cracking game of football and a great spectacle, and hopefully a very even game.
Yeah, look, listen, there doesn't seem to be any outright favourite. I'd say probably Kilcoos are probably slight favourites in my opinion. Maybe just at the fact that they've played in the last All-Ireland club final and they were beaten by Corofin, arguably probably the best club team that has played in recent times. They won 3 on the bounce, and Kilcoos put them to the pin of their collar that day, where they had to come out and play, and they drew the game and went to extra time. So, Kilcoos probably have on paper more experience than most of our lads in terms of All-Ireland Day experience. Whereas only one of our lads, which is Rory, would have been the only player who's played in a club final before. But Rory will definitely pass on the experience of about match day and All-Ireland final day. But listen, normally what you would do, or say the lads, it's another game. It's just in Croke Park, and the fact of the matter is that the lads have already played in Croke Park twice already with Stanton, my field this year, whereas Kilcoos hasn't played. So so they've already have their routine of playing there twice, and it's been recent, not like a couple of years ago. So they would definitely have that benefit of playing there already, and that kind of aura of they've never played here before. So to have that, it's definitely a benefit to Kilmacud. But definitely it's going to be a war of attrition. Two similar sides in terms of style of football, and some quality footballers on show, and quality footballers through each line. So yeah, look, it's definitely going to be an exciting game. I'd say it all boils down to who's going to kind of be braver on the day and probably open up the shackles a bit, because they're both very they play very smartly, and they kind of break at pace, playing the counter. So look, I think first half probably be a bit of tactical pro or tactical masters trying to pick their passes and stuff and trying to draw each other out. So I'd say be more tactical in the first half, where the second half would probably open up. But it all depends on who gets out in front. If Kilcoos or Kilmacud get out in front, then it forces that the other team's going to have to come out and play then, or try and force the win, or try and be more open, if you get me, and show more caution to the win. So it all depends on what way that plays out.
What's your thoughts on it being in early February? I mean, usually, obviously, you'd have these All-Ireland club finals and Paddy's Day, and I know there's been some mixed reaction with having it so early in February, because it's nearly like tradition at this stage to have it on Paddy's Day. So what's your thoughts on it? I'd say it maybe feels a bit weird having it so early in February as well.
Yeah, you can't get away from the fact that there is something special in playing on Paddy's Day. It's that kind of has been a tradition, and then everything that goes around St. Patrick's Day, So and the fact of we've won twice on Paddy's Day, obviously previously, and I think having an early February, yeah, it does kind of maybe take that kind of gloss off it a small bit, but look, that's my own opinion. I think I would like to see it in Paddy's Day, but I totally get the fact that the way you can't get away from the fact, that the split season has definitely benefited, I feel, club football. It definitely has benefited the players as well. Particularly, it's no coincidence that Kilmacud and Kilcoos, I think they've no player. Or Kilcoos have no players in the let down team, as far as I'm aware. And then Crokes have had a few lads who were involved on the panel this season, but there was nobody in the starting 15. So for the first time in a long time, where we've had a clear run of players who are not come back from a long All-Ireland campaign, and feeling the after effects of winning the All-Ireland and then the celebration. So it's no coincidence for me that when you have that consistency of the players being with you and fully fit, and they're not shattered from coming back from a county setup, has definitely benefited us. And you can see the fact that Kilcoos, I don't think if any players on down, and they haven't had that they don't commit, they haven't committed to county side, and you can see the benefit of that, and in terms of their football and how successful they've been over the last 5 or 6 years, that that they feel that their best way of winning on All Ireland and to win provincials is with their own club, and very similar to Kilmacud, like the best chance of winning stuff. For some of our lads, it might not be county standard, but the best way of winning is county title, Leinster or provincial and All Ireland. So that's a massive carrot, particularly when every year. Well, not every year. Every year when you have you have a chance. The biggest thing about trying to win All Ireland's from our point of view for Kilmacud is getting out of Dublin. Getting out of Dublin is key. Because it's so competitive, and once you get out of Dublin, you have a serious chance. So look, Leinster hasn't been particularly strong in terms of club football the last few years, but it's still there to be won. And look, the lads have done very well to get themselves into an All Ireland final. But yeah, look, I think it's no coincidence the two teams have had very limited players involved with county, and you can see the benefit of that winning the players and the squads that they have.
What's the pressure like leading up to an All Ireland club senior football championship, and especially for a club like Kilmacud Crokes? Like, I mean, is there much pressure there, do you think, or how does it usually feel, I suppose, going into a game of that magnitude?
I think the lads will have to have their own pressure themselves, but I think there's a few experienced guys within the group, like the likes of Rory Carr, Craig Diaz, and Shane Horn and Shane Cunningham. These guys, so Rory haven't been there already. So I think the most important thing is not the kind of focus on the magnitude of the game itself, because look, it'll be the biggest game that most of them have played in ever. But it's still realise that look, it's another game of football, and trying to focus on the actual game of football and the performance rather than the occasion. So I think there's enough experience within the group that they will recognise that, and there's obviously with Paul Mannion there as well, and Rory, and that they will give that experience about, look, they've been in All Irelands before, so I think they will take the pressure off the lads, or they'll try to deflect from the pressure and go after the focuses on the individual, first of all, their individual job as a footballer, and then their job then as a collective, as a team then as well. So I think they'll definitely not be able to manage that, particularly for the experienced guys having the group. I know with ourselves, we actually went out and really enjoyed it. I think, and credit goes to Paddy Carr and that given to us. Like he said, go out and play, lads, go out and enjoy it. So I'm sure Robbie Ends, Finn Kennedy and Ronald Ryan, and that, Ronald Ryan and Finn Kennedy who were involved. Robbie, like they were involved with the last All Ireland team, or with myself, the last time we won the All Ireland in 2009. So to have those two lads involved and the management setup is vital as well, because they will pass on the experience leading into this Saturday. So they will definitely will also help with that pressure. They've been there before. They've been a part of that journey before. And look, those two lads have been on journeys, like in terms of they've been there where we were beaten in two All Ireland semi-finals, Salthill and against Salthill, and then against Crossmaglen. So they will definitely be able to give that kind of the more than experience in terms of what way to deal with things and how to go about things. So yeah, look, I think with the combination of the two lads and Robbie and then the senior players, look, I think they'll definitely it'll stand to them.
Yeah, and what's been your thoughts on Kilmacud Crokes this year, I suppose, in general, from some of their performances? I mean, a big win obviously over St. Jude's in the Dublin final, beating Ballybowden obviously in the semi-finals, obviously that win over Naas, a win over Port Arlington in there as well, and then obviously that semi-final win over Padraig Pearse. So what's been your thoughts on some of Kilmacud Crokes' performances in some of these big games so far this year?
Yeah, look, listen, they've been very good. I suppose Jules is probably Gills has probably been the biggest test that they had to come back from, because they were behind, and I suppose the big thing that day was the lads who come off the bench, Keane O'Connor and Casey, who come on and contributed massively, and then Aidan Jones, like I think it was 1-2. 1-2, 1-3 contributed to the last 15 minutes in that county final, to turn the game, whereas you felt that Jews were the better side in the day, and then like they tried to defend the lead and sat out and invited Crokes on top of them, and a good side like Kilmacud, you're not gonna get away with that. So, and look, when they went into Leinster, then they played the Towns and Port Arlington and Nice, like the good sides, but they were always ahead. They were always able to manage the game. I felt, they played some good football. I think the fact, like Paul Mannion was excellent against Wolf Towns, and then against Port Arlington, but then he's obviously injured. But I felt then the lads, then they actually, they played some very good football. Fella stepped up for the Leinster final against Pearses, where I felt they probably played better as a forward unit, and that's not no slight on Mano. Like when you're looking at it, if you're with Paul Mannion, so maybe the option is to kick into Darren Mullen is the first option, but you look to your right and there's Paul Mannion, and so it's 60-40 in the favour of Darren Mullen, and it's 55-45 or 50-50 in with Mano and ball. But if if the ball gets the Mannion, 9 times out of 10 there's an end product, so you're pretty going to incline to hit Mannion. But whereas with Paul not there, the lads have stepped up, so they're actually hitting the ball first time to the right option, if you get me. So they're looking to play. So it's harder then for the teams to say, well, look, if we look at the Paul Mannion, we'll have a chance of winning this. Whereas the lads now, they're playing the ball. They're playing some very good football. They're playing the first time ball, and they're not second guessing. Oh, should I give the Paul? So it's hard to defend against in terms of you have to worry about more than one player, and I think that was the thing. Whereas Paul played very well, but then Paul creates that pocket of spaces for other lads to exploit. So I think to get the win, like against the Leinster final and win against Pearson without Paul, as a credit to the lads, and I give them that confidence going into this weekend. Obviously, you want to see Paul Mannion in an All-Ireland final, one of the best footballers in the country, or what I mean. So look, you want to see your best players playing, but look, I'd say the lads will want to, to show that they can win without him. I think that's the one thing that I think will that benefits them now for Saturday or this Saturday, is that they've had the 2 games on the belt without them. They've showed they've won the Leinster final and the semi-final, get them to an All-Ireland final. So you'd like to think that would stand to them then, and look, it gives Kilcoos more to worry about, because they've performed and other players have stepped up to the mark in terms of Shane Horn, kicked in 2 points the last day, Nate or Darren Mullen 2 points from play as well. Keane O'Connor come on, kicked one with the right, one with the left. So different fellas are stepping up. Tom Fox was man of the match in the Leinster final. So different fellas have stepped up in the absence of Paul. So that means then, who does Kilcoos put their best defenders on? So they have more to worry about, I feel. So whereas I think with Paul, teams would have tried to zone in and even exclude him. So look, I think they've kind of found their way in terms of with Paul not being there. But look, listen, Paul is still a massive loss. Of course, he's still going to be a big loss on the day. So would Crokes' chances of winning Ireland be improved with Paul playing? Absolutely. But I still feel that they have the caliber of players that are there to definitely step up, and they've shown it in the previous 2 games.
Yeah, and going back to the start of the year as well, I mean, like obviously in previous years, I suppose for Kilmacud Crokes, there'd been a bit of a struggle there maybe to get out of Dublin on occasion. Obviously, you had that Mullinalaghta defeat there a couple of years ago as well. Like, was there any surprise to see Kilmacud Crokes go all the way to the final? Or I suppose having been there before, could you see maybe that the talent was there, other than just Paul Mannion, of course, because I think everyone knows how good of a footballer that he is,
Yeah.
but could you see the players there and that the potential was there to go on an all
Yeah,
Ireland?
no, absolutely. No, listen, there was no question when myself and Badger Robbie took over that we felt that we were good enough to win a Dublin Championship and All Ireland with the group. Like we, in terms of the Mullinalaghta situation, like we performed very well on the day for 45 minutes, and then we stopped for 15 minutes to go, and we conceded a penalty. We conceded a goal and a point in the space of 3 or 4 minutes, a penalty and a point straight after the penalty. So, to go a point down. So, look, I think that's, that happens. That's football, and fair credit to Mullinalaghta, they were there to punish us and they were deserved winners. And I think, the big thing to follow in 2 years, like Davis's semi-final and then last year's semi-final against Ballymun, I think, a bit of soul searching was needed from the players, because you have to want to work your socks off and a bit of bite and a bit of, you need to get that bit of experience of losing as well. And I would have felt, I would probably, when I was playing the Oak Saga, we had 98, we played 3 games in the bounce and we won, or we three lesser finals with Oak, and there was the 2 replays, 1 match, so 3 matches, and we ended up losing it. And like we should have won the first 2 games, no question, and left it behind us. The third day they were by far a better team, and that haunted me for a long time. And it wasn't for another 6 years that we won the Dublin title, and then we won 2 in a row. Won Leinster, left the Salt Hill, knocked the car behind us, by a point or 2, and then came back then. So like, it was the hurt that kind of pushed us on, that group on. And I think, I know lads wouldn't have said it ultimately, but I'd say there's probably a bit of motivation there, that, like, to right the wrongs of what happened 3 years ago. So it's great to see that they put that kind of ghost to bed, and use it as a motivation, to right the wrongs of what's happened. So look, definitely always felt, listen, I've always said, as a former player and as a former manager and with the lads and stuff, that any Kilmacud Crokes side that I've been involved in, I always felt that if we had the right attitude and the right desire, that we would be in contention to win Dublin, and then go on and win Leinster and All Ireland. And then I still believe that the talent, and that falls back on the coaches that have been involved with the club over the years, and Paul McDonald and Niall Corkin and the lads who are involved, who work for the club and have had their hands print all over these young lads as well, like that have been involved. That there's no coincidence that that they're good footballers are being coached coming through. So when they arrive out of football, that they're being coached by good coaches, and so your transition from your underage, you're looking for a year or 2 year transition, so that there's you get the special talents like like Paul Mannion, Roy Carl, like Sullivan, Kevin Nolan, like those lads, they went from underage to senior, similar to myself and Cozzy, from minor to senior straight away, and Darren Magee, and we were Darren and Nemo and these guys. So you get those special talents that come along, but also then you have the lads that are good footballers, might take another year or 2 to develop, but they've had good coaching. So you're dealing with good footballers who've got a high skill set. So when you're dealing with footballers who have a high skill set, but have a motivation, that you're not, hold them by the hand to make sure that they're going to the gym, to make sure that they're doing their extra bit of skills work. And then you can focus then on in your training and in your matches, then that you get into the nitty-gritty of the game plan and stuff. So you're not having to worry about, is he going to the gym, is he doing his right recovery, or is he doing his skill session as well. So in fairness, the motivation, those lads have had it for a long time, and it's nice. Well, look, hopefully they get the just rewards on Saturday, but yeah, definitely there's definitely a talented bunch there, but it's come from a lot of good work from coaches that lads have come through with those young lads, and who are now adult footballers. So a lot of credit goes to those coaches that have been involved, those lads as well,
Absolutely, and you were mentioning Paul Mannion there earlier, and obviously his injury that he picked up in I think it was the Port Arlington game that I think it was. But looking at the Kilmacud Crokes 2 performances since then against both Naas and Padraig Pearce's, I mean, like, do you think there's been much change really in the way that Kilmacud Crokes have played since Mannion's injury? And do you think maybe in some ways, obviously, it's not a benefit to have a player of that magnitude missing, but it's almost like Kilmacud Crokes' general performances have actually, been really, really good without him. And I think there's probably been an element of surprise there how well Kilmacud Crokes have played without Paul Mannion.
Yeah, look, and look, it stems back to the quality of players in the field. Like, I think I think it was and I know, like, it was the Paul Mannion show, I suppose. Now, listen, Jules did a decent job on him in the county final, but then he played very well against the Towns, and then he played very well against Port Arlington, when that he had that bit of space and he exploited it, and I think that's where the lads stepped up, because I know for me, being a former player, if like obviously Paul is getting applauded for his performances, but it would have been pissing me off, or excuse my language, like, would have been annoying me that, like, hold on a second, there's 14 other guys on the field as well here. So, like, that's where I felt, the likes of Tom Fox and Darren Mullen and Shane Cunningham, Shane Horn, these guys, that kind of stepped up, and like the form of Craig Diaz and Roy O'Carroll, like, has been exceptional as well. So, those two lads in particular, the last day and the Leinster final really stepped up, in my opinion, in the absence of Paul. Rory and Craig, they were immense, and have had their handprint all over the two performances. So they would have known the magnitude of Paul being missing, which is a massive void, obviously with the calibre he is, but they would have been reinforcing to the lads, look, lads, Paul is not involved, but we're more than good enough to win whoever we play in front of us. So, I think that was, the motivation, and it would have probably be knowing the lads, it'd probably be an extra motivation. Look, we're not going to be recognised. We can't win without Paul Mannion. So there's a bit of extra incentive there. It will be an incentive that if I was still playing, I would be going after. Look, yes, we're going to miss Paul, but we're going to win without Paul. So let's go and show the rest of the country that we are good enough to win without him. So, and I'm sure Paul, is telling the lads, and that he's given his own experience on the group as well. So, you'd feel for him as well that he's not being involved on the day as well, because look, the likelihood is, like, well, history will tell you for us as a club is that it could be another bleeding 10 years before we're back here again. Like, so, like, it was 09 the last time we were there, and it was 95. Like, they're two big gaps, and now, so the next time we could be there, Paul is not, he'll be too old. Do you know what I mean? So, like, it's it's like Rory's been very lucky. Well, not lucky, saying not lucky, but very fortunate at the fact that he was very young when he made his championship debut for us in the Leinster final in 08 against Road. He was only 18, 19, and now he's playing his second club final. So I think he's 33 or something. I don't know, is he 33 or 34? So, like, the massive gap, so, like, it's, the likelihood is that, I'd love for the club to be there again next year, the year after, and Paul will experience playing in the club final again. But at this moment in time, history shows us as a club that it doesn't come as frequent as we would like it,
Yeah, do you think many of the lads in that Crokes team could get into the Dublin team this year? I know Dan O'Brien was involved, I think, during pre-season. We've seen a few other players, I suppose, in the squad. Like, could you see many of those players maybe playing more of a pivotal role for the Dubs, maybe later on in the year, maybe towards the end of the league or early on in the championship?
As a Crokes man, I hope not, because I want them to stay playing with the club and winning more stuff. But no, listen, I there is definitely a few players that wouldn't look out of place in that squad. I think they've shown, winning two county titles in 4 years, and in Leinster, on top of that, and they're in another final. There has been other than Ballybowden. I think, unlucky for Ballymun last year, like, with COVID, they didn't get the opportunity to get into that All-Ireland series or Leinster series. So, but definitely there is a couple of players that, I feel if they were to give them the right time, and opportunity game time with Dublin that they definitely would add to what Dublin have at the moment, and probably would have a little bit more experience than some of the other guys that are there at the moment, because they have won a couple of county titles, whereas there's a few of the lads that are there at the moment probably wouldn't have that same experience at winning county title or a Leinster title. So I think from that point of view, that would stand more to the Crokes lads, and they would offer more from that point of view. So look, yeah, I'd say I'd be very surprised if we don't see at least 3 or 4 of them being drafted in. Like you look at some of the players now, Dan O'Brien, Darren Mullen, Andy McGowan, Craig Diaz. Listen, Rory has rolled back the years. Like, is he worth a phone call? Could he do a job? Absolutely. At the form he's in at the moment, absolutely. I just think, Rory came back from New Zealand. He had a good performance against Ballymun in the championship, and he was brought in with Dublin then, and I think he had picked up an injury or two, and didn't get a clear run of it. So, like, you need game time, and you've been out of the game for so long. You need consistency, and you need more game time to get yourself up to that level. And I think the fact that Rory was involved with Dublin this year, it just shows that he needed that consistent playing football to get himself up to the level that he's expected to be at. So I think it takes time, to get back up to that level. So, but you don't get that until you play, like match sharpness until you play game after game, and you could really see the form of him the last few weeks or last few games. He really has blossomed, or he's gone from playing fullback to centre back, and he's played that role very well because playing fullback for so long, he's got the balance right when he knows when to push on as a centre back to push out, and he knows when to drop off playing fullback. He knows when to be that extra blanket for the fullback line, because he will be, obviously, he's playing fullback for so long, he would be talking to previous or fellas who play centre back in front of him when to drop and when to hold and when to push out. Do you know what I mean? So look, he's playing that role very well.
Yeah, what do you think the game plan's going to be then for Kilmacud Crokes in this game, or how can you see the game, I suppose, going in the end? Could it be a scrappy game in some ways, do you think, or how do you think it might go?
Yeah, I think it's not. I don't think it's going to be one for the neutrals anyway. I think it's going to be war of attrition. I think both teams are placed very similar. They play counter-attack kind of football, possession-based football. They'll wait for the right opportunity to get scores. So it all depends on who's going to go for the jugular, so to speak. Because there's going to be a stage where both teams are going to have to kind of push out or push on. It all depends on who goes behind first. I feel, it'll force one team to come out and probably play a little bit more open than what they've been used to, because they won't get the opportunity to, because both teams are so well set up. And they've been pretty hard to break down. But look, listen. Like both teams have copped up opportunities. Like you look at Kilcoos the last day against Pearses, not so much Kilcoos against, or sorry, not Pearses, the Bars, Kilcoos against the Bars, where like Bars put it to the pin of the collar, was a very good match to have leading into an All-Ireland final, where I felt Pearses weren't as strong as Bars, so, but against Portarlington and Naas, there was opportunities with Naas and Portarlington when they did play their football, they left a bit behind them. So look, it all depends. I feel who gets the lead, But also, there's going to be a time and a place where, okay, we need to push on, and they're going to have to let the shackles off a small bit. But I think it won't be. I think it's going to be very tactical first half, and I think as the teams get tired in the second half and the substitutions comes on, the bench has been massive for Kilmacud this year. The contribution from the likes of Cian O'Connor, Casey, Aidan Jones, and that have been excellent. So like, I'm sure Kilcoos will have looked at that as well. So they're very meticulous in their preparation. And they've got a good management team in there. So look, it'll be interesting to see what way it goes. But I think it'll definitely won't be pretty, I feel. For the first half anyway, because you'd see from both sides they play that patient football, recycle it, stretch it, go into the corners, trying to stretch the team, look for those gaps, trying to create those channels to allow runners to come into it, and then they pop then trying to look for the percentage to pop off around the D. So look, yeah, I don't think it'll be a pretty game, but look, I think the finals are there to be won. So I'm hoping that people kind of respect the fact that, like, these lads have like trained for so long. Like, you've got the likes of Craig Diaz, who's never played an All-Ireland club final. He's playing club football, or like since Craig came in the year after. So he's playing club senior football 12 years. He came in the year after we won the All-Ireland in 09, so 2010. So it's taken him 12 years to get to this. So like when you fellas, and Conor Laverty as well, and Kilcoos, like, he's in his 30s as well. So it's taken so long to get here. So you can understand where lads are going to be a little bit more cautious, a little bit more nervous, and not going to be as open. So they're going to try and be safe and trying to pick their way, pick the lock, But then, look, as I said to you already, it's gonna see who's going to come out then. And now, listen, you never know. Kilcoos or Kilmacud, could come out and surprise everyone and just go straight at it, totally go against what they've been doing at the moment and go for the juggler. Like, I remember similar. We were Crossmaglen were overriding famous when we played them back in 09. And we just went out and we knew we knew that we got them in Croke Park. We'd caused some problems with the pace and the caliber of footballers we had within the group, and we exposed them, and we ran at them, and they couldn't handle it. The quick football through the foot pass, off the shoulder running, they couldn't handle it. So and that could happen on Sunday. Kilcoos against Corofin 2 years ago. They actually played a better football. They were very cautious, first All-Ireland final, and then because Corofin went ahead, they had to change it up. They had to go after Corofin, and the fact that they took off the shackles a bit more, they actually played a better football. So, there's an argument for both. Okay, would you have not done that from the beginning? So it'd be interesting to see what way they approach it, but I think it'll probably be war of attrition, very tactical first half particularly, and all depending on how far one of the teams goes ahead. Then it'd be interesting to see how that develops second half, and particularly as the lads get a little bit more tired, and as well as that, you're hoping, look, that there's no COVID issues in the camp, either camp as well, that nobody's missing out on an All-Ireland final because of COVID, and the way it is at the moment, there's been a few lads that have missed out on different days, down in the last day in the Leinster final, or like Ben Shull missed out in the Leinster final, and then there was an ace full forward, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but he missed out as well. Like, so you're hoping that those lads, any of them don't miss out on this match this weekend,
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a fair point. And in terms of Kilcoos as well, I mean, they've obviously had a very tough route, obviously coming through Ulster. I mean, they beat Waddy Graham's Glen, who a lot of people were looking at maybe as a team that could potentially go on and maybe win an All-Ireland. And you obviously had a very strong Finbars team in there as well. And I mean, for Kilcoos, does it benefit them quite a bit? Do you think that they did have that All-Ireland final experience 2 years ago against Corofin? Like, they do have that. A lot of those lads would have played in Croke Park. They'll have that experience. So I suppose they're not coming in here like without that experience of playing in Croke Park, playing in the big occasion. And I suppose as well, like, for a lot of people, they really are coming in as a team that works so well as a team that probably don't rely on any one or two marquee forwards. So could that benefit them a little bit coming into this final, do you think?
Yeah, look, listen, I think that's the one thing that probably I'd be slightly concerned about, is that Kilmacud are probably slightly undercooked, whereas Kilcoos have played, probably, no disrespect to the teams that Kilmacud have beaten, but I just feel that they're probably the stronger outfits. Do you know what I mean? With Bars and the teams in Ulster. So I think particularly the Bars match, I think, like, they put Kilcoos under serious pressure. I watched the game and I was very impressed with how the Bars went after them and how they put them under pressure, and in fairness to Kilcoos, how they handle that. Do you know what I mean? Like, the Bars a big physical side, and put them under severe pressure. So, and they were able to manage it. They didn't panic. You could see then the second and in next time, the more experience of Kilcoos helped them out. I think that might be the advantage that they will have over Kilmacud. Is the slight advantage I feel is that they've been put to the pin of the collar, a bit more than what Kilmacud have. The last time Kilmacud have played Mullinalaghta was against Jules in the county final, so it's been a long time since that come around. So, and I just feel whereas they yes they played well Kilmacud, but they haven't been within put to the pin where it's been real close going into the last 5 minutes of the matches since the county final, whereas Kilcoos have and they played a pretty better caliber of team. So, and the fact that they have that, as you said, the experience of playing the All-Ireland final a couple of years ago, and the motivation, so there's a motivation factor there that they've been there. They'd be very hurt from losing that final 2 years ago, and they're back in the actual next All-Ireland final. So there's a huge motivation, and that's a massive motivation to have, and it's very similar motivation to what we had in 2009, similarly in terms of Vincent's won the All-Ireland in 2008, right? And that year in 2008, we played Vincent's in the first round of championship, Dublin championship, and we bet them well. And there was a back door then. It was the first year to do with a back door, and we bet them by 6 or 7, 8 points or something. And then we got them in the semi-final, but 3 weeks out from the semi-final, we played them in a league match out in Vincent's and bet them well again by 6 points. And we can't face them in the semi-final. And I knew in the warm-up, I looked at Cosy. I remember saying to Cosy, "We're not right." It was just. I think lads felt it was a foregone conclusion because we bet them so well, convincingly the previous 2 occasions within that season, and they turned us over, bet us by 6, better team. Went on to win Dublin, went on to win the Leinster, went on to win the All-Ireland. And that was a big driving factor for us in terms of our motivation, that we knew we left that behind us, and we knew that we should have been there with what they'd done. And 12 months later, we came back and we won the thing. So, there's a huge motivation for those guys for Kilcoos, that they're not going to leave this All-Ireland behind us, particularly after getting back to there, because it to be back there so quickly, and it's credit to them, because not too many teams get back-to-back All-Irelands. I know you could say, look, COVID year and everything, but even with the COVID year, it's still as much as impressive of getting back to that. It just shows you the hunger and desire. So that's a kind of big motivation factor. Whereas our lads might not have that. They have the motivation to win, but they don't have the hurt of losing an All-Ireland club final. Do you know what I mean? They have the hurt of losing a Leinster final, but they've rectified that by winning this year. So, in terms of hunger and wants, you could say Kilcoos might have that a small bit more, but you just don't know until the day. But I think experience-wise, on the occasion, they probably slightly edge Crokes in terms of just a bit more experience on that side of things. But be interested to see what way it pans out.
Yeah, do you think there's much benefit for Kilcoos going with a defensive setup for this game, or do you think maybe it's a case of, or maybe they should play in the front foot? How do you think Kilcoos will go about it? Because I suppose we've seen in that game against Corfin where it was really defensive early on and then attacking towards the end. Could we see maybe a mix? From watching them myself, there does seem to be a bit more balance there, but at the same time, it's hard to know how they'll go about approaching this game.
Yeah, no, I think they'll go similar to what they've done all year. I think they'll what they do is the probe. They'll have the homework done on where to try and expose Kilmacud. So they'll probably have a few things up their sleeve in terms of how to exploit whatever they feel that Kilmacud's weakness might be. Because they're a very experienced side. So they will go about their business very, very surely. So I feel they might, I don't think until they feel they might be a little bit more comfortable. I think maybe if they go ahead, that's when you might see them open up a bit more. But I think you get a kind of safe approach at the start anyway, because I know they would know that Kilmacud are good enough to kind of open them up as well. So I think they won't be. I think they'll be cautious because the last and realise that if you were to come out and go all guns blazing, then you could leave yourself exposed and you could find yourself, Kilmacud could go 3 or 4 or 5 points ahead, and Kilmacud are so good in the ball, and maintaining the possession. Then you're chasing shadows. So listen, some of the county football, listen, there's you can see similar traits in county football, whereas it's death by 1,000 cuts through possession, hand pass. And then you look at the way Armagh played last week against Tyrone, and then previous against Dublin, bang, 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 boom, over the bar, back in the net. You cut your cloth to what the players you have. But I think both teams similarly will have to play open football as well as playing the defensive side. They play very similarly. They're very patient both sides. They play very similarly. So it'll be interesting to see if they do open up. But I just feel with there's so much at risk, and it being the All-Ireland final, I think they'll probably go on the side of caution first, but then they'll have their few things that they've worked on. But look, you never know. They could turn around and either side surprises and just go all guns blazing and then go at it,
Yeah, and what's the verdict then ultimately? Like, how do you see the game going? Who do you see coming out on top? Obviously, you're going to have an element of bias, obviously, with Kilmacud Crokes, but in terms of like how do you see it going? Like, as far as I know, I think if it's a draw after extra time, there could be a replay, but I don't exactly.
I think. Look, listen. That's what. Being pretty big boys, I obviously go with Kilmacud win, but I think it'll be a 1 or 2 point win. But it'll be very tight. I feel it'll be tight. I can't see it being. I can't see either team winning by 5 or 6. I just think it's just going to be a war of attrition. I think it's just going to be who's the team is going to buckle under the pressure. I think, and then the benefit. Both benches have been very good off the bench. Both teams, their subs have come in and have impacted on both days. The bench the last day for Kilmacud and the bench the last day for Kilcoos, both impacted on the performance, and that's what you want from it. So, if I'm looking at it as if you're involved in either setup, okay, we need to have someone picking up Cian O'Connor or whoever comes in for Kilcoos. We need to make sure that they're picked up and that they don't have the influence that they've had in the previous game. So, very similar to what the best teams always have finishers that come on to kind of give you that extra push, and very similar to when we won it the last time we won it, like we've good lads coming off the bench to finish the game out, and you knew when those lads came in that right, we're in here, the lads are on now and we're finishing strong and we're going to win this game because the boys are on to finish the job. So and that's the role that Cian O'Connor has done very well, and Casey for Kilmacud. And I think it's it's that selfishness or unselfishness of, the ultimate sacrifice for your teammates that Casey and Cian O'Connor probably won't start the last day, but they're good enough to start, but they're sacrificing because the role they've played for the year. So I think it's a 1 or 2 point victory for Kilmacud, but then but that's me with my Crokes hat on, so but I'd say Kilcoos are probably slight favourites in most, in say the bookies or the pundits, some of the pundits anyway, that are by look reading at some of the stuff leading into this. I think it's just because of the bit of experience that they have and the performance the last day against the Bars and the fact that they've been put up in a collar. I think they just probably slight favourites on the fact that maybe Paul Mannion is not playing. I think that maybe they might tip it towards Kilcoos, but I think as a Crokes man, I think I hope that it's a victory for ourselves,
Yeah, no, that's completely understandable. Like, I think the Croke Park factor could play a huge difference, obviously, as well for Kilmacud Crokes. Like, that could play a huge one as well. And I'd probably fancy them maybe just to sneak it by a point or two as well. But look, listen, Johnny, I appreciate you jumping on anyways, and cheers as always for coming on. And sure, look, best of luck for Saturday anyways, and hopefully it works out for you.
Thanks, Million. Mind yourself and talk to you soon. No problem at all.
Thank you very much for watching this clip of the very most recent podcast uploaded on the channel. If you do enjoy this content, please leave a like and subscribe so you're notified every time I do drop a new upload, and it does very much help the channel grow and help the channel reach more people. So I very much would appreciate if you could leave a like and subscribe, and let me know down in the comments below what you thought of the video. You can also follow the page on Instagram, and you can also follow on Facebook, Twitter, Spotify. You can follow on all social media platforms as well. So if you're not already followed over there, go over there and give the page a follow to help the channel grow as well. So I do very much appreciate anyone tuning in, and I'll see you all later.